Stop it! Stop it, you son of a bitch! At this time, the main scenario was flowing through the holographic panel at the Soul branch of the Bureau. Some Dokkaebis sighed as they watched the storm of magic power on the screen. The Dokkaebis instinctively knew it. The scene that would unfold from now on would be the best story since the Soul Dome scenario began. Bi-hyung watched the scene and was one of them. Yu Jung-hyuk, this damn bastard, please! Everyone stop him! Block Yu Jung-hyuk! Some Dokkaebis expressed dissatisfaction with the filtering. However, Bi-hyung was different. Despite the mix of filtering, Bi-hyung was now able to understand their words to a certain extent. Some words could be read even if they weren't completely written. The same was probably true for the constellations who had been watching the channel all along. Otherwise, the following message wouldn't come out. The constellation, demon-like Judge of Fire, is despairing at the tragic situation. The constellation, Prisoner of the Golden Headband, is tearing out his hair in lumps. The constellation, Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, is looking disturbed. The constellation, Secretive Plotter, is silently watching the situation. Some constellations resent the atrocities of the nebula. Some constellations are completely immersed in the unpredictable developments. Bi-hyung couldn't take his eyes off the screen. Yu Jung-hyuk, who wanted to become the Demon King, and Kim Dokja, who wanted to stop him? Bi-hyung saw this and was reminded of the days when he was a novice Dokkaebi. It was a time when he was doing all sorts of events in the Starstream. All the stories were lovely, and he couldn't bear the curiosity of the next story. The feelings of those days when he was immersed in the incarnations of his channel were pure and unforgettable. Bi-hyung struggled to ignore the emotions wriggling inside of him. That's just a story. No matter how tragic or sad, a story was just a story. The story of Kim Dokja and Yu Jung-hyuk was just one of the countless stories repeated in the Starstream. Most of the stories had already been seen, and he had long forgotten the excitement. All he knew was how to give an exaggerated and stimulating directing. Then why? Bi-hyung desperately held the egg in his arms. Shit! Kim Dokja, do something! As always, fool everyone with an unexpected development. Kim Dokja would find a new method, just like he always did. The Dokkaebi had such expectations. It's really tragic, isn't that right? The head of the Soul branch, Baram, stood beside him. Bi-hyung looked at him and answered, It's a very tragic situation for a half constellation. The nebula would suffer greatly from this intervention. Using Deus Ex Machina on this scale wouldn't stop at simply sacrificing lower constellations. Each constellation shared probability through the nebula, and this instant caused tremendous loss to the probability. If war between nebula was to take place in this situation, the loss caused by Kim Dokja would be a decisive blow. Baram replied after a moment, I think it's worth it if Kim Dokja dies. As I said, they are very sensitive to issues relating to the end of everything. They think that the likelihood of Kim Dokja is very high. And the situation's unfortunate. Why? Kim Dokja won't die, Bi-hyung continued without understanding why he was making such a boast. As long as he becomes the Demon King, Yu Jung-hyuk won't kill Kim Dokja. Bi-hyung looked back at the screen. Perhaps the plan was the nebula to kill Kim Dokja by making Yu Jung-hyuk the Demon King. However, it was the arrogance of the nebula who didn't fully understand Yu Jung-hyuk's personality. Don't interrupt. Bi-hyung watched Yu Jung-hyuk through the screen and swallowed down the boiling sensation. In the end, Yu Jung-hyuk would die here, but Kim Dokja would live. Thus, Kim Dokja would once again escape the constellation's fate. If he survived and survived, someday... Baram laughed. You don't know fate yet. Huh? Do you think the nebula wouldn't have known this? Do you think they wouldn't have analyzed Kim Dokja's personality, even if they can't read his future? Then you're underestimating the weight of destiny. What? Bi-hyung was interrupted by the bright flash that came from the screen. The Starstream is announcing the status of the constellation who doesn't yet have a name. The magnificent light covered the entire holographic panel, and even advanced Dokkaebis like Baram were impressed. Look, fate is about to be realized. Dokjashi, what are you doing? Wake up! I watched Yu Jung-hyuk being tinged with a demonic energy and was in a dazed state. Are you concerned about what will happen to this world after I go back? You must be afraid. The moment I disappear, this world will disappear. Isn't that right? It was like thousands of insects had entered my eyes and my senses were disturbed. Yak! The party members screamed. There was an explosion in the surrounding area. This world won't disappear if I regress. This world won't end or be upset if I die. The words spoken by Yu Jung-hyuk encroached on my head. This world won't disappear even if Yu Jung-hyuk goes back. I didn't understand it. Yu Jung-hyuk's sponsor, the existence that never responded to anything in ways of survival, actually replied to Yu Jung-hyuk? Why, under these circumstances? Tokushishi! I didn't know. The exclusive skill bookmark is activated. The 5th bookmark, Kyrgios Rodgram, is selected. The exclusive skill miniaturization level 3 is activated. The exclusive skill electrification level 11 +1 has been activated. My body size was reduced in an instant, and the blue-white trail moved towards Yu Jung-hyuk. Kim Dokja, Yu Jung-hyuk growled out. The blue-white energy hit Yu Jung-hyuk's blade, and a terrible collision sound was heard. The combination of electrification and white pure star energy met the power of giant body transformation in splitting the sky. I had a thought as I watched the ether storm explode. If Yu Jung-hyuk was right, I would no longer have to worry about him regressing. Even if he returned, I could guarantee that this world remained and keep living in it. Kim Dokja, think about it. The opportunities won't often come. The muscles of my body creaked from the excessive force collision. Yu Jung-hyuk also poured out all of his power. I felt the texture of the blade in my hand and realized my pain was alleviated by the 4th wall, while Yu Jung-hyuk would be taking all of it without a wall. No, it's difficult. Was it okay just because he could regress? Would he sacrifice himself to end the scenario? I told him, there is no such development in the ending that I want. Are you still failing to understand? I must be the Demon King. I will be the Demon King. Don't talk bullshit. If you do that, you will surely die. After being banished from the scenario, resurrection is useless. Perhaps Yu Jung-hyuk didn't understand my words. There was a huge wall between us that couldn't be filled. However, it was due to this wall that I could see this guy again and again. Yu Jung-hyuk's remorse, his despair, and his dreams, an indomitable will that wouldn't give up. I grew up reading all of this. Think about it. Who would watch a story without the protagonist? There were numerous memories in my head. I overcame all the tragedies in my life with a single story. It was the story of a person who never gave up, no matter what. That story made me. I could survive to reach here. I will pay off the debt. Debt? What do you mean? You saved me once. Now I'm going to save you. What nonsense is this? I listened to Yu Jung-hyuk's voice while using all the techniques I had saved. It was a technique that would exhaust my physical endurance, even if it was just for a moment. It was the first time I tried it directly, but it was probably theoretically possible. Turn off miniaturization. At the same time, my body that was covered in the brilliance of electrification started to return to its original size. Your current body configuration is different from that of the character. At present, you can't use electrification with your body composition. The powerful skill penalty will encroach on your body. Electrification was a technique that could only be used by a small person. However, if I released miniaturization while using electrification, I could still use the power of electrification with my original body. My body wandered through a deadly situation, but once miniaturization was turned off, the power of electrification was amplified. Kim Dokja! Yu Jung-hyuk's eyes widened with astonishment as the power of electrification filled the area. The dazzling blue-white ether swept the hall, and Yu Jung-hyuk was thrown back into the wall as he coughed up a large amount of blood. A few steps away, I saw Lee Gil-young picking up the jade that Yu Jung-hyuk had dropped. Gil-young, give that to me. Lee Gil-young hesitantly withdrew from me. I don't want to. I heard it all. If Young gets this. As Lee Gil-young hesitated, Han Shu-young shouted at him. Stupid! Get away from Kim Dokja! It was too late. I instantly narrowed the distance and snatched the jade from Lee Gil-young's hand. I'm sorry, Gil-young. At the same time, a surge from electrification emerged and the people around me were thrown back. The exclusive skill Bookmark has been forcibly terminated. My body was overloaded and blood gushed from me. I grasped the Jade tightly as my consciousness blurred. Then demonic energy flowed from the Jade and wrapped around my whole body. The constellations of the Vedas Nebula are smiling with satisfaction. Yes, this is what they wanted. You have met the qualifications to become the 73rd Demon King. The precious Jade is amazed by your potential. A new main scenario has been acquired. Tokshashi! The system messages blocked the voices of my party members, which were vaguely heard. If you choose the way of the Demon King, you must destroy all existences on the 3rd level of the Dark Castle. If you fail the scenario, you will be banished forever from this scenario. Banishment from the scenario. It didn't have the same meaning as death. It was to be kicked forever from the flow controlled by the star stream. I would die in that empty void that couldn't be reached by the eyes of the Dokubis and constellations. There was no one in the star stream who could endure that void. No constellations could exist without the scenario. Now I knew for sure. This is what those damn nebula were hoping for. I knew very well what that damn fate was pointing to. I am the Demon King. The precious Jade has chosen a new candidate to become the 73rd Demon King. The new 73rd Demon King is elected. A mighty demonic energy filled my whole body. You've got a new story. You have inherited the power of the Demon King. My damaged body received the enormous demonic energy and recovered its strength in an instant. No, it was more than recovering. It was a huge energy I had never felt before. I was reborn as something completely different. The star stream will announce your status. Your status is narrative grade. Your stigma has opened. A strong demonic energy is polluting your constellation. You have become a corrupted constellation. A corrupted constellation. It was the Starstream's name for Demon Kings. Many constellations are greatly shocked by your choice. The constellations of the Absolute Good system are showing fierce hostility towards you. The dark demonic energy slowly lifted, and I could see the party members looking at me with devastated expressions. The people who knelt down were trembling like they couldn't believe it. Yu Junkyuk's desperate face could also be seen in the distance. Main scenario number 10, 73rd Demon King, has started. I looked at them and opened my mouth in a grand manner. Everybody wake up! Everything in the last 3 days had been for this moment. Remember how to deal with the Demon King. The nebula probably thought that it was going as they planned. Finally, as fate decreed, Kim Dokcha would die here. However, they would never know. Just as they had placed the scenario of fate here, I had been preparing for 3 days to escape from this damn fate. Faint sunlight was leaking in from the gap in the broken ceiling. I laughed as I gazed at the sunlight that seemed dazzling. Now, let's start the last scenario. Today was the day that Incarnation Kim Dokcha would die.